Alright guys, welcome back for a new video. Today the goal is to create this to-do app that you see on the screen right here. This to-do app is not only your usual to-do app, but it's an app that will save the state of the block using Hydrated BLoC, meaning that every change that you will do to the app, if you close the app and come back to it later, all the change will be saved. I will go ahead and show you exactly what we are working with here. So you can see different list styles, different cards representing every to-do. We can add a new to-do by clicking here. Let's say make the video as a title, be clear. As a subtitle, I click on the button and it will add the new to-do at the very top of the list, which is very convenient. And if I close the app and come back to it, you will see that the to-do is still up there. And I can as well different triggers the different text box on the screen. And same if I leave and come back, or as well delete by just sliding the card. I leave the app and come back. Thanks to Hydrated BLoC, thanks to Hydrated BLoC, all the state will be saved and I will have a fully functional app without using any outer services for the backend. Everything will be stored on the phone, accessible offline or online. It doesn't really matter. Let's get to it. So I've created a new Flutter project on the right side and invite you to do the same. And I will directly run this app so we can start from here. So our goal first is going to import all the libraries that we'll be needing in order to create this project. So I invite you to go on the prospect.yaml file, and basically we will need all those dependencies in order to make our app functional. So you see Flutter slidable. So Flutter slidable is exactly when we slide a list style, a card to delete it. So we will need that. Hydrated BLoC, as I told you, coming as well with pass provider. Very important to give the phone the location where we will store this local database in our phone. And then Flutter BLoC, and all these basically are for Hydrated BLoC to work with it. You can import it, but they are already on the Hydrated BLoC as well, dependencies. I prefer to import them here so I don't have any problems then later on the code. Once you have that, you can either save the code or run the function flutter pubget. And we have imported all of the dependencies that we'll need to create the project. In the meantime, we can see that our app is fully running. So let me go ahead and close this one and we will be working on our new app right now. So the first step, we are going to create all the different files that we'll need in order for us to then create the class, the to-do class, then the to-do block, and then we'll finish by the UI. So let's go ahead and create all the different files. So all the different files are going to be under the lib folder. So first of all, we'll create a home.dart file. Basically, this file is going to host all of our UI. And here we can directly type stl and make it a stateful already and create home screen. So basically, this is going to be the home screen of our to-do app, basically displaying all of the UI as well as using block provider to, depending on the state, show what's needed. So once we have that, we are going to, under the lib folder, create a new folder that is called data. And under data, we are going to create a new file that we're going to call todo.dart. And basically, this is where we are going to create our to-do class. Okay. And lastly, very small project here, we'll need to create the block. So since we have imported the different block packages and I have on my VS Code the block extension, I can simply right click here and block new block, and I will name it to do. And it will create automatically a new folder that's called block. And under that, I will have to do block, to do event, and to do state. I like to rename block here to make it more clear. So I will name it to do block. And once we have that, we have all the different files that we need. So I want to start by creating the data class, so the to do class here. So basically, what do we want? So basically, a to-do is a title, a subtitle, as we've seen, and as well a is done kind of boolean to say to the UI, well, did you already do this task or not? So basically, that's what we want to do right here. So I'm going to go ahead and create all that. So you have that here. So final string title, final string subtitle, and is done is going to be able to change over time. So we're not going to make it final. We are going to create as well the constructor of this. And we want now to create the copy with method of this to-do class. So very straightforward. So copy with methods takes all the parameters that we have. If they are in null, we are going to go and take the one that are already created in our object class. So now very important, we need a from JSON and a to JSON method in our class because we are going to store our to-dos in a database, a local database, right? But still a database. So basically, we are going to create first the from JSON method. So the from JSON method looks like that, very simple. It takes a JSON, so a map of string dynamic here, and then it will return a to-do object based on the different field inside our map. Very straightforward. And we want now a to.json method, which basically is going to do the contrary of what we want. We are returning a map that represents our to-do object. And lastly, I like to always have a toString method on my class. So this is exactly what I do here. Note that is a very cool tip that you can, by just doing this three stuff here, create strings on multiple lines. It's easier to read, I believe. So once you have this class, so again, is a very straightforward class. I can close this terminal for now. So very straightforward and very simple. Well, we can start really going for it now. So what I want next is to create our to-do block. So this is the main logic of the app, and this is where everything will take place. So let's start with the events. So basically, we have a different kind of events. I'm going to just replace this sealed by abstract for now because it's a new version and I prefer it like this. Yeah, it's perfect. So basically, we have kind of three states that the app can be in, but actually four because we have every time that the app is started, then when we add a to do, when we remove a to do, and when we alter a to do, it meaning we say that we've done it or not. So let's go ahead and create those events. So first to do started. So when every time we launch the app, we want to be able to retrieve all the to dos that we already have stored. And if we have none stored, well, retrieve a state that we're ready to store some. Okay, so very simple event here. Then we want the add to do event. So basically it's the same. It's a class called add to do that will take a to do as a parameter, okay, here. And this is then will be stored on our local database. So I will go ahead and import the to do class that we just created. Okay, and then in the same spirit, I want to be able to remove a to-do. So I will add this remove to-do event, same, taking the to-do that we want to remove in order for later to pass it to the block. And lastly, we want to be able to change a to-do, alter a to-do, saying that we've done it or that we've didn't done it. So alter to-do as an event here. And this is a little different because basically we want to pass the block. So here as a parameter in this alter to do event class, we are passing it the index of the to do inside the list that we will be displayed. So in the block, we'll be able to access the specific index of this to do inside our list of to dos and modify the is done value, which remember is the value that will say if you've done it or not. So once we have that, we have all the events that we need. We can save that and we can go ahead and start the state, the to-do state.dart file. I will save this to-do block. We'll come back to it later. So I want to do something a little different here than what's provided by default because I like it more when we're going to play with this type of state. So I will start with an enumeration of the status that the app can be in. So basically we can be initial as a status, meaning that we are, for example, launching the app and it's initial. Then loading, meaning maybe when we create a to-do, right? When we add a to-do to the list, we want to be able to, well, tell the UI it's loading, it's currently making the effort of adding this to-do to the list. Then if everything went right, gives a state of success or a status of error if something bad happens. So this is going to keep track of all that. And then our to-do state class is going to be very straightforward as well. So we have this kind of parameters here. So our list of to-dos, exactly, very fair, and our to-do status that will keep track of the status of the app. Remember? Yeah. Okay. So now we want to be able to have a copy with method in order to change the state and update the list depending on the state of the app and the events that are coming in. So very straightforward copy with method right here. So now we need to add two more methods to our to-do state class, which are methods that will be really uh, really proper to the hydrated BLoC, meaning we want a from JSON method and a to JSON method. Those two methods will be able to help us retrieve data from our database or put data in our local database. So this is exactly what we'll do right now. So the from JSON method is a little tricky, but I will walk you through it. So the from JSON method here takes a JSON, right? So a map as a parameter. And so, firstly, we want to retrieve all the to do, so the list of to do, right? But they're stored as a map. So, we're going to take this JSON map and go inside the field which is called to do, which is basically going to be a list of all to dos that we have. But we didn't store them as to do class members, we stored them as map. But it's we parse them as a list of dynamic and then we map each one, so map each one as a to-do object with the method that we've created inside the to-do class from JSON that takes a map of string dynamic. And then all that, we're parsing it to a list, making us available and ready to have a list of to-do. And that's why it accepts it here. It's a bit the same here for the status, meaning we are inside our enumeration to do status here, and we are just going through the enumeration. And if the JSON with the parameter status is equal to either this one, this one, this one, or this one, well, it will return it the first time that it sees the same as it stores. So it's exactly what it's doing here. And lastly, the to JSON method I talked to you about, which is way more straightforward here, really. It's only two parameters here inside our map, a to do, which is the list of our to dos, and the status, which we only stores the name, right? And lastly, because we are extended equatable here, we'll need to have as well this override with our two parameters. And here we are, ready for using this to-do state dart. A bit complex here, I will give it to you, but very straightforward to understand. So now the last thing that we need to do for our BLoC is the BLoC itself. So firstly, here you have an error, but mostly what's important here to note is that you are still extending a BLoC, a normal BLoC, and you don't want to extend a normal BLoC because we want to use hydrated BLoC. So here I will replace BLoC with hydrated BLoC and import hydrated BLoC. And he's not letting me do that for some weird reason. Let's see why. Maybe I will run a new pub.get here. That's why. That was why I ran another pub.get and it was ready to go. So here we don't want to return to do initial because that makes no sense because we deleted it, but we want to return, well, basically a constant, but a to do state. That's what we want. So that's what we will return. Perfect. So here you'll see that he's mad about something. Basically, we are missing two overrides, which, yeah, we are missing two overrides, and he will offer you to create those two overrides. You can tell him straightforward to create them for you, but we'll come back to those methods a little bit later. I don't want to confuse you. So first, we are gonna go ahead and deal with our four events. Remember, up, to do started, add to do, remove to do, and alter to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with unstarted and create this method. So just under here, I will create the unstarted method, which takes an event of type to do started and an emitter, which we'll call emit. So basically, this line here is just gonna check every time that we launch the app for the first time. Well, the app is closed and we launch it. It's looking if there is already a status which is equal to success stored, and if it's the case, he will return the list of to do that is already stored in our local storage. Otherwise, it will come here and emit this list of to do, which can be null, and a state of success. It's basically very straightforward, and this is exactly the same principle that will apply on all the other methods, which with a little tweak to it, because I think it's very important to note that we are using only one block here. We are only using one block for getting the to-dos and as well making operations on the to-do. And that's a bit tricky because if you have a block which is in a certain state, let's say you have the get to do block, which is in the success state, right? Your app will display a list of to do. Okay. If you alter this state by creating, let's say, create a new to do event, and this will trigger a new state, your UI will respond accordingly. And so you want to be able to be consistent here in order for you to have all the time what you want on your app. But let's go ahead and we can cover that in later videos, no problem. Let's go ahead and create the on add to do method, taking an add to do event here and same. Here, I'm really trying to be as clear as possible and as close as possible as what you would be using if you were using Firebase services and all this kind of stuff for bigger apps, right? I'm trying to respect what you will try to be using. So first, you will go ahead and try to launch a loading status to the app to perhaps load a circular progress indicator to say that you're doing some work and that the work is being done and that you will receive soon a new state. So we do that, and then we go inside our try catch method here. So what we want to do is create a temporary list of to do here. We don't want to directly make operation on the list of to do that is stored inside our state, because the reason for that is there is an error if you do not have any to do stored in your database yet. The Hive database, local database, which is based upon Hydrated BLoC, will trigger some sort of error. So you'll need to pass through this temporary list of to do. And so basically, you add all the state, the list of to dos that is stored inside the state to your temporary list, and then you insert at the index 0 the new to do that you just created. And once that's done, you emit a new state, which is success, coming from loading to success, and the list of to do that you just made some operation on. And if there is a problem, well, it will load a status error state. Perfect, very clear. So that's the on add to do. Now let's move on the on remove to do. Basically, clearly the same. Not going to explain it so much here. You load, you emit the loading status. You can make the operation directly on the list of to-do stored in the state here, because if you load the app for the first time and there is no to-do displayed on the screen, you can't remove. So that implies that there is at least one to-do created. So Hive will have no problem making those operations there. And then you emit the state of to do, so the list of to do that is stored inside the state, even though you just did the operation on it, and a success status. If there is a problem, you log, you emit an error status. Very straightforward. Lastly, we need to create on alter to do. So basically, every time that you trigger one to do to say that you've done it or not. So same, an alter to do event as a parameter as well as an emitter. Same, you are displaying the loading status, and then, well, you go inside here, and what you want to do is remember the event here stores the index of the to-do inside the list, not the to-do itself. So that's very convenient because then we can access the list of to-do that we have stored inside our state, pass him the index that was given to the event, and access the isDone Boolean parameter of our to-do class and set it to the contrary of what it was at. So basically, that's what we want. And then, well, we can directly emit a new state with the list of to-do that is stored inside our state after having done this operation, and a success status. If there is an error, we'll log the emit status error. So now we have to tackle lastly, the from JSON and the to JSON method. Very straightforward because, well, we've done them inside our to-do state. So basically here in the from JSON, you just want to return a to-do state.from JSON. Remember, that's the one that we just created right here. So that's what we want there. And we want the to JSON. And here, same, we just created it inside our to-do state that to JSON will trigger this one inside that our to-do state. So, well, perfect. Everything is done right here. So we can close everything. And now we are pretty much done with, let's say, the backend of our app. And now we want to focus on the main.dart. So let's open up the main.dart, and here we'll need to add some stuff in our main function because we are using Hydrated BLoC. So we'll have to create two different stuff here. So first, make sure everything is loading properly, and then open up a temporary directory for our hydrated storage. Sorry. So here you'll need to import Hydrated BLoC, and you'll need to import as well pass provider. It's all packages that we've imported in our prospect.yaml file. If you don't see the option of importing them here, go inside your prospect.yaml file and save this file again that will run pub.get, and then you'll be able to do it. You'll see some errors here because they're saying that we're using await, but we didn't put main asynchronous. Now we've done it, and everything works properly. That's perfect. We don't need to do anything else inside our main function. Now let's go inside our main app, which is just under here. So what you want to do, you can remove this scaffold that was by default there, as well as the const here. So first, let's get our title running. So our title basically is going to be to-do app. You can replace it with what you want. This is just to remove this debug banner at the very top. And then I like to add some themes to our app, which is very convenient for you because the app is going to be yellow, greenish here. But if you want to make it your own, you can simply change the colors at this place inside this app, and every screen will respond accordingly. I'll show you later in the UI how you can access this theme, this specific theme inside your UI. And now we want to tackle the home parameter of our material app. And this is where we're going to use for the first time a block provider. So here we want to use the block provider, and then add a new state to it, a new event to it. So that will look something like this. So you will import ToDo BLoC and as well the BLoC library, as well as the home screen. So what do we do here? We are creating a block provider of ToDo BLoC type, right? So we are creating it here, ToDo BLoC, and we are adding a new event to it, which is the ToDo started event, which remember we've created inside here and will be triggered every time that we launch the app for the first time. And remember what it does. If we go at the very top of our to-do block, it's here. If there is something in the status which is equal to success, meaning we have already some stuff, we'll return that to display on the screen what's already stored. Just so you know exactly. And it takes a child parameter, which is basically our home screen. And at this point, I think we're pretty ready to refresh this app. And you might think, wow, everything is broken, but that's very normal because here, if we navigate to our home screen, it's only a placeholder. And this is what a placeholder looks like. But if you go ahead and replace that with a scaffold, you will see that it's way better. So now we are ready to create the UI, and everything is going to happen inside this home screen. And so it's pretty exciting now because it's only creation. So we are first going to create, let's say, the background color here for our scaffold. So we're going to put that equals to the theme.offContext.colorScheme.background. And just so you know, if you navigate to the main file here, the background color is set to white. But tomorrow, let's say you want it to be red, you just simply save that, and this will turn to red. So that's pretty convenient for you if you create bigger apps to have a consistent theme all across your app. And then we'll want to create a floating action button here that will be the button to create a new to do every time that we click on it. So it takes an onPress method right here, and let me go ahead here, and it takes as well a child parameter as well as a background color for us. So we're gonna need to import as well Cupertinos and save that. He is not recognizing these Cupertino icons because I will need to import them inside our pubspec.yaml file. So I will just do that right now. And normally now he will be able, missing implementation. Yeah, that's okay. Because we need to rerun our app. That's totally normal after adding these different lines. You cannot just simply hot reload your app. You need to actually relaunch it. So this is what we're going to do right now. So it's going to relaunch the app. It takes a couple of seconds to relaunch, but we can continue working on our UI right here. So this floating action button is the first step. You see, you have it here, and you can click on it. Nothing happened so far because we didn't implement the onPress method, but that will be our next step. First, let's dive a little bit more inside the UI. So now we'll need an up bar to our scaffold. And so basically we're adding a background color, which I set to primary, and our primary color is this yellow, no elevation, and a title, which is my to-do app with some style to it, a color black. But here I could as well wanted to show you, you go ahead and theme.offContext.colorScheme.onPrimary, because this is the primary color. And he's going to tell you, wow, there is a problem. It's because you made your text constant here. But if you save it, well, that's pretty convenient, because now if I change on inside my main.dart on primary to, for instance, white, it will change the text here. So try to be consistent with your team. You'll be saving a hell of a lot of time later on when you're building bigger apps. So let's go ahead and create the body of our to-do app. So we're going to start with some padding right here. And we're going to set it to all 8. Perfect. And now this is where it's going to get a little tricky right here, because we're going to use our block builder, right? So the block builder will be able to display different stuff depending on the state of the block. So let's go ahead and create this from scratch. So let's go create a block builder. Perfect. So this block builder widget takes a builder, right? And the builder takes a context and a state. So context, state. Okay. And it needs to return a widget. So depending on the state, that's what we said. So if my state dot status, so here you see he doesn't recognize the status because I didn't told him here that this is actually a block builder of a to-do block and to-do state type. So I go here and I implement that. He's going to say, I don't know, import them. You import that. And now he knows if I delete that and status, he will know it. So is equal to, well, to-do status, remember our enumeration, and success, for instance. I will return some kind of widget. Let's just set it to a container for now. And let's continue. You see the little error here because you need to an else statement in order for it to actually work. So let's continue that. Else, if the status is equal to initial, you'll display a circular progress indicator. And if something else happened, you can just load a container. And if you want, you can add a text widget saying something bad happened, or yeah, something wrong happened. So here we're pretty much done with our UI. So you can hot reload that and save that, and you'll say nothing's happening. Well, it's pretty much normal because we didn't implement those methods and we have nothing inside the success here except a container. But before all that, I want to cover the three methods that we'll be using here. So when we add a to-do, I want to create this method. So I will create it right here. So add to-do, taking a to-do as a parameter and accessing the to-do block, which is inside our context, and adding a new event, which is the add to-do event, and giving him the to-do that we pasted here. So that's the add to-do method. It's the same concept for the remove to-do right here, and a concept which is quite similar, but the parameter here is different for our to-do because it just takes the index, the number where the to-do is inside the list that we have displayed on the screen. So that's done. That's perfect. Now, let's cover what happens when we'll click on this button. Remember the demo, we were showing a dialog onto the app right here, and you can directly go inside the on press here and click here and go for show dialog. So it takes a context and a builder as well. So that's exactly what we want. Up, oh, sorry. Yes, like this. And the builder basically takes as well a context as a parameter, but will return a widget. And in our case, we want to return an alert dialog widget. Alert dialog like this. Yes, perfect. So the title of our alert dialog will be add a task. Well, pretty straightforward. And then in the content, that's where it's going to be a bit tricky. We want two text field. Okay, so first here, title, and then content parameter here. So we're going to do a colon. All right, a colon with some children parameter here. And I'm going to take this text field right from here, and I'm going to paste it here. So you have a little error that is normal. So we have this first text field with the cursor color that is set to the secondary color of the app, some decoration here. So we have an in-text, task title. The focus border as well is a little tricky with some border radius to it, and a new color for the border side, as well as a new border for when it's not focused. And I will show you how it looks. But first we need to create two controllers inside here before we return anything. So it's for the two text field that we'll be creating. So if we click now on our floating action button, you'll see that and you'll say, well, that's pretty cool. We have this text field right here, but this is too big. And you can simply change that by going under the column and go inside the main axis size, main axis.min. You save that and you'll be, well, nothing happened because you're inside the show dialog. So pop it and press it again. And there you go. You have exactly what you need. So we have one text field here. Now we'll add some padding to it by using a size box. Very convenient right here. And we'll add the second text field for the subtitle. And this is basically, they are the same. You could take these widgets and create them in a new file. That would make a lot of sense if you have a bigger app. Here we're not going to do it, but definitely what you will want to do. So inside this, pretty much done for our two different text fields, and we want a button for well, creating the to-do in itself. And so you will go here under the column and trigger the action parameter, which takes a list of widgets. And so basically what we want here is a button, but I will create mine a little bit different. So let's see how it is. So I'm adding some padding everywhere around it 15. Let's save that so we can have a little display here. Exactly. So it's a text button. So then on the onPress parameter of this text button, I am triggering the add to do method that we just created on the top. And when I'm triggering that, I'm resetting the controller one text parameter as well, the controller two text parameter to nothing, right? Because if I was not doing that, I will then pop the show dialog here. But then if I come back, the first and second text field will be filled with what I've already put before, and you don't want that. So that's why you need to do it. And then you have some styling for the button, so a shape with these colors for the radius, the foreground color as well when you click on it. So that's pretty much done, as well as a child with the checkmark Cupertino icon, which is as well set to green here. So I'm setting it to green right here, but I could as well use the theme that we have. I should probably be using the theme more than anything else, but let's say that for our example, that's going to be enough. So we can go ahead and try that, right? So we can go ahead and type test, maybe just pop it first, test and test. Okay, so nothing happened, but that's very normal because we didn't implement the method when the to-do status is success in our UI. And that's the next step and the last step that we'll do. So what do you want here exactly? So I will take that and I will walk you through it. So we want a list view, right? That's what we want here. So this is exactly what we are going to create. So here, we are here. So you want to create a list view.builder. You want to access the item count parameter and set it to the length of the list of to-dos that is stored inside your state parameter. Remember, you can access this list of to-do because we are inside the if statement where it's success. And if it's success, you have access to this list of to-do. So that's pretty much cool. And then you want to access the item builder parameter, which takes the context and an integer here as the number of the items that you have inside your list. And you want to return a card with a color if you want for your card, an elevation and a shape to it. Fair enough. Here, slidable. Slidable, remember, is for deleting a to-do. So I will import slidable and I can save that. And you can see on the left, it's happening. So the slidable will be wrapped around our list style right here. And slidable takes a key. Here we set it to 0 because we know that we only have one. But if you have multiple, you can set it to something unique. And then, well, all that comes with the package. Slidable action, well, meaning that if I slide here, I want to be able to access the remove method that we've created. So that's what we're doing right here. And I give him the to do that I'm willing to delete. I set the background color to this red here, and the foreground color to this white. So this is white, and this is red right here, with an icon and a label. So this is a package that I used, right? And a child parameter from this slidable, which is the list style itself here, which will display as a title a text widget with the title of our to-do and a subtitle widget with the subtitle of our specific to-do. So you access it like this. And then I want a trailing icon right here, a checked box, and I want to set the value of the checkbox. It's a Boolean here, so that's very convenient because isDone is as well a Boolean. So I set it to this, and every time that it changes, I want to access the alter to do method that we've created and give him the number where the to do is stored inside our list. And that's pretty much it. Here, if I refresh everything, and for instance, I tick this box and I refresh this box, I refresh the app, you'll see that it's still stored right here. And even if I create a second one, up, well, perfect. Everything works good. If I relaunch the app, well, it's still stored. And if I delete this one and check this one and relaunch the app, everything works as expected. Okay, so there you have it, guys. A fully functional to-do app created on Flutter with Hydrated BLoC. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, don't hesitate to subscribe and to give this video a like. And please feel free to tell me in the comment section what kind of video you'd like to see next. I'll be very happy to provide you with the necessary content. All right, guys. Bye bye.